Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV and welcome back to another episode of the Chelsea Fan TV podcast. First things first, guys, make sure you smash likes on the video, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV and leave your thoughts in the comments below on today's episode. And on Saturday at the King Power, Chelsea made it 3 wins in a row, scored 3 goals as well and beat Leicester 3-1. A really good performance from the Blues and some more positive steps in the right direction. Still feet firmly on the ground though, small steps and things, but things are starting to look slightly better. The team's looking a bit better, looking more balanced. New players are starting to gel more. Some patterns of players starting to emerge. So whilst, let's not get carried away, things are getting better. I mean, Lewis, we were there on Saturday, 3 wins in a row now. Obviously, we're not going to get too carried away with it, but compared to what we have been seeing in the weeks prior to last week, this is a big turnaround for us.
Yeah, we're now down to 3 wins in a row. Really good from us. There's a bit of an iffy first half. We started well, then fell off a little bit, but the goal from Havertz came at the right time, completely derailed their momentum, and it lifted us. And in the second half, we were just in cruise control. It's just been good to finally see us get some confidence back into the team, especially in the second half. It looks like we're starting to build a bit more chemistry. The atmosphere around the fan base and with the players is only continuing to grow. Let's see how long it can continue for, because there are tougher games coming up. But as of right now, it's good to at least have something to celebrate for the first time in ages.
Yeah, man, it feels kind of weird. Like, you almost forget what that winning feeling is like, what it's like to kind of actually just win some matches, because we've kind of been starved of that for large parts of this season. Even though we've beaten a couple of relegation threatened sides, we feel a lot better about ourselves. You can tell, but specifically the scenes at full time as well. All the players coming over, Potter coming over a lot closer to the fans than he normally does. When we've been on the road, all the shirts going in the crowd and stuff. So you can tell that, there is that connection still there with the fans and the players. And that, have you kind of noticed that whilst Potter's not completely out the woods at all, there seems the Potter out and the negativity against him seems to have somewhat quietened, having now won 3 games.
Yes, but it's only because it's the first time that we've had something positive to celebrate. We didn't even win a game in February. We only had 1 draw, and I think the rest were all losses. So, yeah, I think it's just relief from the fan base. But in terms of Potter, he just has to keep things going, because as it stands right now, all it takes is another loss or 2, and then the swords are going to start coming out for his head. It's all just about continuing. We've taken a step back in terms of going back to a back 3 when we were trying to be a bit more progressive, but it's understandable because we need to just get results at any cost right now. But as long as he can maintain those results, I think the pressure comes off him a little bit.
And in terms of him, mate, I've certainly noticed in the last week that he's been a lot more vocal on the touchline. He's been a lot more active. He's been barking out instructions, pulling players over for individual chats and that. He's been a lot more animated on the touchline. Something we hadn't seen kind of very much during his reign at all. In the last 3 games, I've certainly noticed that a lot more from him. Do you think he's kind of growing in confidence a little bit and growing into the role of being a Chelsea manager a little bit more? I mean, have you noticed that, him being a little bit more vocal on the sidelines and being more involved in the game?
I haven't really noticed too much in terms of the dugout, just because I don't really pay attention to that sort of stuff. If I see it after the game, fair enough. But I think he's just had a weight come off his shoulders too, and he's building more of a rapport with the fans in terms of the post-match celebrations and everything. But it is still early days. Yeah. I think he just looks a bit more confident because the results are now turning in his favor. But we'll have to see what happens over the next few weeks. I don't want to jump to too many conclusions over it, because it has been a Leeds and a Leicester side that we should be beating, and a Dortmund side that, to be honest, we should have done better against in the first leg as well. And that's not to downplay the results or anything, but if we're talking about Chelsea turning a corner, I think we're just finally beating the teams that we should be beating.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. And I think, the tougher tests will come and we'll kind of see whether we've turned a corner and how much this side's actually improved, if at all, when we get into that harder run of games after the international break. Even teams like Brighton, Brentford, etc., coming to the Bridge, those are games that we have to win. If we can win those games and stuff, then you can say maybe we've kind of started to turn a little bit more of a corner. Then you look at beating a big side, like a top 6 side, like where we still got Arsenal, United, City and whatnot to come. So there are tougher tests to come. And, it is what it is right now. It's 2 wins in games that we should be winning. But it is progress because we haven't been winning those sorts of games. I mean, what impressed you most about the performance at Leicester? Because for me, yes, you talk about, kind of going back to the back 3, maybe when we wanted to have a back 4 more in the long term. But, since reverting back to that, we haven't lost and the team looks so much better balanced. And on Ben Chilwell, how delighted are you, mate, to see him finally get back to that level we know he can be at? Because we signed him, 2 or 3, maybe 3 seasons ago. We signed him under Frank Lampard. He's missed a lot of games through that ACL injury and that hamstring injury that kept him out for a few months. But he's back to his best now. And he's so influential for us and so important. Great finish for the goal. And these last 3 games, he's been superb.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to be this good. I thought he'd need a bit more time to come back in terms of his game management, in terms of trusting his body mentally. But he's come in on some crazy mentality and he's just been unbelievable. His positional awareness has been great. Unbelievable delivery. Has to be taking all of our corners in the near future because I haven't seen anybody take corners that consistently as him since, I don't know, Lampard, maybe. I think it's that far back that we have to go. So, yeah, I'd have Chilwell. He's just been unbelievable. And if he can continue this form up, even better. Deserves a fat new contract if he can hold this form up to this level. But he's been one of our best players. One of our best players. And if he keeps up for the next game, should be up for Player of the Month too.
Definitely, mate. And just on that, on Chilwell and kind of the system as well, it's clear that the back 3 gets the best out of Chilwell. It gets more out of Reece James. We know that we want to realistically want to transition to a back 4 next season if we get a holding midfield player in and stuff. But part of me thinks that whilst that would be good to see and it's important to be fluid in multiple systems, I just feel that in a back 3, you're going to get so much more out of Chilwell and James than you are in a back 4. But then maybe that gets counteracted by the fact we'd have a better balance in midfield, and that would allow us to use 2 out-and-out 8s and maybe and whatnot. But I mean, is there any part of you that thinks maybe we are just a back 3 side?
As it stands right now, but that's why I never really wanted us to go to a 4 in the first place, because we knew most of our creativity came from the wing backs. So why are you pushing them further back? That never really made sense to me. Maybe for next season, with more signings, we can push into more of a back 4 side if that's what we really want to do. But as of now, we're still a back 5 side, so you might as well stick with that.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I think it gives us the best chance of getting the results that we need in the short term for the rest of this season. And whatever happens in the summer and next season remains to be seen. But I do maintain that it's really important to be good in multiple systems. So yeah, I think it's important. We do learn to play in a back 4. But yeah, it's definitely for the rest of the season we should be sticking with the 3. We touched on Kai Havertz last episode, saying that we don't want to get too carried away. Great performance against Dortmund. We were doubting whether he could follow that up with another good performance in this game. He has. A lot of stuff went through him on Saturday. Obviously, he gets a great goal from that Enzo Fernandez pass. Really nice finish. He's involved in the Kovacic goal with the cross from Mudryk, who heads it back. And this was another pretty good performance from him. Again, it is only 2 games. I know you've been getting a lot of stick on Twitter in your mentions about Havertz being back because he's scored in back-to-back games. I think it's look, it is what it is. He's played well for 2 games. Fantastic. This is what we want to see. This is the standard you expect at Chelsea. But it is just that. It still goes back to the point we made last episode. We need to see this on a consistent basis. But I mean, what were your thoughts on Havertz on Saturday? Just the fact he played well, and we just need to see more of the same, really.
Yeah, it's just the same as the Dortmund game. Looked a lot more aware. His hold-up play was smarter. His decision-making was better. Good thing staying on side for that goal as well, because half the time he never really does that. But yeah, great performance from him. Let it continue. We have tougher games coming up in April. I need to see the same Havertz. But he's been very good the last few games. We won't take that away from him. He's been very good. It's been good to finally see these sorts of performances. Just please don't let it just be a March thing like it is nearly every March of every season. I need to see it in April. I need to see it in May. I need to see it next season.
Yeah, just on a tactical setup as well from Potter, because we saw Mudryk play, and he was operating centrally with Havertz off the right and Felix obviously off the left. I mean, what should you make of that with Mudryk being deployed down the middle? Obviously, trying to use his pace to get him behind that kind of unsteady Leicester defence. Do you think that worked, operating Mudryk down the middle? Is that something you want to see more of?
Yeah, I think it's good because he's got good speed to get him behind defenders. If he can time his runs well enough, then I think it could be a great move for us. He did well in the second half when we played him a bit more through the middle. Could have actually got a goal if Felix, instead of trying to chip the goalkeeper, had squared it to him. I'd only just seen that a couple minutes before we went live. But yeah, he's doing the right thing. He's getting the right positions. He looks good on the ball. Things just aren't fully clicking for him just yet. But I don't really have too many reservations about him. I think he's definitely going to come good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that goal was disallowed. If only, I mean, it's a little bit of it's a minor criticism. But if Enzo had just released that ball a little bit earlier, he probably would have been onside. But even with someone that's new to the league, probably not on the highest of confidence, to go through and put that away was still a good finish, regardless of kind of him being offside. But I mean, look, it's 3 goals in a game. Another 2 ruled out for offside. Definitely steps in the right direction. We are still 10th now. I was seeing quite a lot of talk or debate, or however you want to phrase it, of fans thinking that Chelsea still have an outside chance of making the top 4. Now, for me personally, I feel that's unrealistic. You look at the 12 games we've got left. We've got teams that need to drop. We need multiple teams to drop points in front of us. Realistically, we need to win probably 9 or 10 of those games if we're going to have any chance of finishing in the top 4. I mean, for you, Lewis, it's just not happening. Is that people just getting a little bit carried away in terms of that top 4?
Way too carried away. It's only been 2 league games. There's only been 2 league games in general. Yeah. We still have to go to the Emirates. We still have to go to Old Trafford. Still got to go to the Etihad.
Yeah.
Newcastle at home. We've got Liverpool at home. Brighton at home. Brentford at home. It's not an easy end to the campaign. We are only just getting 2 wins in a row in the league for the first time in ages. I'm not trying to think about top 4. Yeah. If we get in a position where we're within arm's reach of it, fair enough. We can have the conversation then. Until then, I'm not listening because people are just jumping to conclusions and they're setting themselves up for disappointment. I'm not here for it.
Yeah, no, I'm the same, mate. Just taking it one game at a time, and we finish where we finish. Not trying to think too much into permutations right now. As I say, if things get a little bit closer towards the end of the season, you could have a bit more of a realistic take on it. But yeah, right now, I think it's very unlikely. Let's just take it one game at a time. Let's take some small steps. Let's keep making progress, and let's kind of just see where we end up. But it was certainly a positive performance and a positive result. The away end was great. We've been to a lot of away games this season. This was hands down the best support, I think, on the road this season. I mean, I don't know, mate, would you agree on that one?
Yeah, I think it's up there. If in terms of the league, I'd say, but there just hasn't been a lot of away games to get up for anything about. Our last win was October.
Mate, Villa Park, yeah, mad.
It's been that long. That's ridiculous.
But at least we finally got that win. That's like another run that we've ended. But kind of moving away from the game, a few more off the pitch matters. We touched on him earlier, Ben Chilwell. Couple of stories in the last couple of days linking him with a move to Manchester City. Obviously, kind of being reported there's no interest. That interest is not really concrete, but City have looked at Chilwell in the past. For me, there's no reason at all why Chelsea should be entertaining even selling Chilwell. I think it would be ridiculous. But what are your thoughts on those kind of links with a potential move away for Chilwell? I mean, it's the sort of thing that we just don't need to be doing. I'm not really sure where it's come from.
I think City just have interest, and fair play. I'd be interested in him after the last few games, but unless they come in with something crazy, I wouldn't do it. They have to come in for 80 million or something for me to think, okay, you know what, maybe we should consider something like this. But I'm under no rush to sell him. I don't even think he really wants to leave. So unless City really try and break the bank for him, there's no point.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, obviously they are looking for a left back. It's clear they tried to get Cucurella last summer. They weren't prepared to go above their valuation. Obviously, we let João Cancelo go to Bayern. He's really going to be sold in the summer. So it is a position they're looking at. Obviously, when you've got a top player like Ben Chilwell, he's going to attract interest from other top clubs. It's only natural. But Chelsea aren't in a position where we desperately need to sell. We certainly don't need to be selling one of our best players to one of the teams that we're trying to hunt down. So yeah, I think that's just just a bit of interest, a bit of noise, a bit of a nothing story really. But we may as well cover it. But we couldn't possibly talk about Chelsea without talking about Mason Mount. Two things to begin with. First one, reports. Well, a report, singular report. And Fabrizio Romano actually kind of sort of backing this one up that Mount was actually supposedly Mount was fully fit and was left out of the squad for the Leicester game. Now, I don't know who's telling the truth here or not, because Potter in the press conference said that he wasn't fit and he wasn't ready yet. So I'm sure you've seen it. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think Potter was lying, or do you think this report is slightly fabricated? Because we're getting two different things here.
I think you just got to read between the lines of all of it. And it's just Mason Mount's been offered enough contracts. He's rejected all of them. He's in the worst form of his career. It's just a point of drama for Chelsea right now. And if they're still way off in terms of negotiations and he's been offered 180k a week, just find a club that wants him and get rid. I couldn't really care less. People are crying too much about Mason Mount leaving like it's actually going to be anything deep for us. We'll be fine. We'll move on. Mount will move on. He might do well at another club. He might do crap. I couldn't care less. I just want Mason Mount and all of his stands out of this club, personally. Yeah, unless he resigns.
Yeah, but I think it's one of them. Like I'm more than happy for him to re-sign. No problem.
He still wouldn't start for me if he did.
No. I agree. Definitely wouldn't start, but I think he can be a useful squad player. He's got a part to play in the squad. Obviously, yeah, he's in terrible form this season. We've not missed him at all the last few games. We haven't really missed him this season because he's been non-existent and the performances have been terrible. But I do think it would be a mistake to let him go personally. It wouldn't sit well with me if he went to like a team like Liverpool or whatever and he started doing really well. I think that would be a mistake on our behalf. But bigger players have come and left Chelsea and the club goes on and is still successful. And if he does leave, we'll forget about it and we'll move on pretty quickly because football's always moving. You haven't got time to think about things. So if he does leave, he leaves. And that's just the reality of the situation. I mean, whether you think it's a good thing or not is a different conversation. Players come and go. It's part and parcel of football. We can't lose too much sleep over it if he does decide to leave. But I mean, obviously you don't really mind too much, but how would you feel about him if he was to go and join Liverpool, for example? Would you be that bothered or not really?
I wouldn't care. I think it'd be funny to everyone who's trying to run this Mason Mount as proper Chelsea narrative. I wouldn't care less anyway. Like, we will still be fine. Mount might be fine, might do well there, but it's not like we're going to be in the pits if we lose Mason Mount. It's not like losing Hazard. So I don't really care too much. I'll be real.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And I think there's a lot of people that feel that. I mean, one way or another, whatever your opinions are, the sooner this is done and dealt with, the better, because it's just such a boring conversation. There's so many agendas, so many narratives, so many forced narratives. We just let's just get it put to bed one way or another. In the summer, it'll be done. He's either going or he's staying, and then we can just all forget about it and move on and talk about something else. But yeah, we're taking steps in the right direction, which is good. Let's look ahead to a couple of things that are coming up this week. We've got the Champions League draw on Friday. Obviously, we went through against Dortmund. At the time of recording, obviously not all the teams are through yet and the draw's not finalised. But let's talk hypotheticals here. Obviously, we know the teams that are through ourselves, Bayern, Benfica and AC Milan. You would expect Real Madrid to hold on to their lead against Liverpool. You would expect Man City to beat Leipzig. And then you've got Inter versus Porto. Inter are 1-up from that first leg. And you've got Napoli, who are 2-up from the away leg against Frankfurt. Let's presume that City, Napoli, Inter, and Real Madrid will go through. Looking at that last 8 draw, and obviously it's the last 4 draw as well. Any teams that you'd really like to avoid?
Not really. Just because I don't think we're going to win anyway. I'd like us to get Milan or Benfica. Maybe Porto, if they go through, that would be nice. Other than that, we're not going to win the Champions League anyway. So I just want anywhere that's a decent away trip. Then I'll be happy. Or maybe to an English team. Save us the money on travel.
Another trip to City?
Yeah. How many times do you go there in a season?
Yeah.
That'll be like 4 times.
Yeah, it'd be 4 times.
Maybe not. You know what? Give me Porto or something. Go back there,
Yeah.
pretend it's 2021 again.
Yeah, I look at it and I think, like, obviously there's no easy draws. The route to the final will be mapped out. It'll be quarters and semi-draw. Realistically, like, they're all difficult teams, but in an ideal situation, you'd want one of them Milan sides because they're very beatable. I don't think either of them are that great at all. And then Benfica, a decent side, but you look at them as the next one down on the list of teams that you'd want to get. I mean, you mentioned you don't think Chelsea are going to win the Champions League. I mean, how far do you envisage us going? Obviously, it's a lot of it's draw dependent, but do you think we can get to the semi-finals?
Depends on who we draw.
Yeah.
All depends on who we draw. If we get any of the 3 teams I previously mentioned, maybe we can. If you give us a Bayern, a Madrid, a City, yeah, we're not making it. Not making it at all. It all depends on who we play.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. It's certainly going to be interesting to see who we get. Route to Istanbul will be marked out on Friday morning. But, there's just something about Chelsea in the Champions League. I'm not suggesting by any means that we're gonna win it, but there's something about us in that competition that brings something different out of us that we don't tend to see in the Premier League. And the 2 times we have won it has been when we've been struggling in the league and no one's expected us to do anything in Europe. So maybe we can do it again. I mean, I'm not confident at all to say that we can, but never say never in football. Kind of stranger things have happened. But let's throw it forward to this weekend then. Last game before the international break at home to Everton at Stamford Bridge. Looking to make it 4 wins in a row. Maybe it'll be 4 goals as well. We've got 1 against Leeds, 2 against Dortmund, 3 against Leicester. Maybe we're going to go 4 against Everton. Who knows? But it's really important that we head into the international break with a win. It's the first of 3 home games in a row because after the international break, the first 2 are at home as well, Villa and Liverpool, before we head away to Wolves. What are your thoughts on this one, Lewis? Obviously, Everton fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table. Sean Dyche in charge now. They're going to come and just park the bus and make it really difficult for us to break them down. What sort of game are you expecting?
Just them sitting deep, trying to hit us on transition. Probably us struggling against a low block like we usually do. I don't know. Maybe we get a jammy goal from somewhere like a header. Could still see us winning this game, but I just don't think it's going to be easy.
No, it's not. It's going to be a tough one. I mean, Dyche has got Everton playing reasonably well, hard to break down. Just the standard, just do the basics well. That's what they kind of do down the bottom. I mean, do you worry when you play these sorts of teams towards the end of the season, teams that aren't that great, but they're fighting for their life in the division, and they can often find something that in the middle of the season or towards the start of the season they don't really have. These are the sort of games that are quite dangerous, and these are the sort of games that in seasons gone by, we've either lost or we've dropped points in, which we just shouldn't be dropping points in. I mean, how important is it that we start picking up more points and more wins at home? Because as I say, our next 3 are all at home.
I mean, Villa should be a win. So should Everton. Liverpool, they don't have the best away record, so it could go either way. But points are a must in general for us if we want to be serious about getting back into the European places, because we can do that at least. I think we can get back into the top 7. But it won't be easy with the way Fulham and Brentford have been playing this season. And Brighton, and I can't believe I'm saying that about my football club. But here we
Mate, it was a good weekend. All 3 of those teams dropped points.
This is where we are. But yeah, this is why we need to be winning our games, because when Brentford and Brighton come to the bridge, we're getting toyed with. And again, I can't believe I'm saying that, but this is why we need to get our wins now. Yeah. Can we? I don't know. Liverpool will still be hard for us. Villa and Everton, we need to find a way to get 3 points in both games, though.
Yeah, no, it's simple as that. I mean, in terms of kind of the approach to the game, I think we'll obviously stick with the back 3. There was only a couple of changes from Dortmund to Leicester. Obviously, Ruben coming in for Reece James and Mudryk replacing Sterling. Do you expect it to be switched up a little bit more, having had a week to recover, and then it's 2 weeks off for the national team after this game? Do you think there'll be a few more changes, or do you envisage it kind of being a similar sort of team? Same back 3 in Koulibaly, Fofana and Cucurella? Or do you think... Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to change. Yeah.
Exactly. We've been winning the last 3 games. You don't need to change too much. Maybe bring Sterling back into the lineup if you want to. Other than that, I wouldn't change a thing, really. I think keep everything the way it is.
I mean, I wanted to touch on one player that's been getting a few more minutes than maybe we might have expected, and kind of seems to have taken on an important role within the squad. Conor Gallagher. Not obviously, we know that he's not the best ability wise or the most talented player, but you know he always puts a shift in. He always works hard for the team. He's happy to be at Chelsea. He's happy to be a squad player. He seems to be Potter's go-to guy from the bench at the moment. Almost a little. Although I don't want to say it's like Mourinho with Mikel because it's a little bit different, but that similar sort of vibe where he seems to be the first one to be called upon from the bench. I mean, what have you made of his performances in the last few games? Because I thought when he came on against Leeds, he was really good, and in that second half against Leicester, I actually thought he was good.
I think he's been decent with us the last few games. Again, it's just a case of the team playing well, and he's finally. I think everyone started to grow as a unit, but it will all be about the next few matches. April, man, I'm not looking forward to that month.
Well, we play 9 matches in April.
We've probably got another 4 or 5 in May too.
Yeah, well, it depends if we get through to the semi-finals as well, because obviously, like it was 7 games.
Isn't the
April.
final in June too?
And I think final might be.
I mean, we don't have to worry about that.
Well, I don't have to. Well, you never know, mate. We could start booking the hotels for Istanbul to see what happens. But yeah, just quickly on Gallagher, mate. You've been reasonably impressed the last couple of games.
Yeah, I think the bench role suits him. Like if we're in a winning position, bring him on, push the opposition about 5-10 yards back, ask questions of them with his just endless pressing. I think that could work for us. In terms of him long term, I'm still not too sure. But that role might work for him. It might work for him. We have to see what it's like against better opposition, though.
Yeah, no, I agree on that. But I think we've kind of, whether it's been something that's been talked about or however it's happened, we kind of stumbled across a role that seems to suit Conor Gallagher quite well. Just wanted to round out very quickly, but before we do a score prediction, I mean, what are your thoughts on kind of, you know, the prospect of selling a lot of academy players in the summer? Obviously, you know, a lot of players are going to leave in the summer, and the homegrown products are going to be ones that are going to be pure profit for us. So naturally, you know, you may look to sell some of them. I mean, how do you feel about the connection between players from the academy? I mean, we know that not every player that comes through is going to be good enough to play for Chelsea or be a mainstay in the team. But how would you feel, for example, if like Mount, Gallagher and Loftus-Cheek, 3 academy graduates, all left in the summer? I mean, does that matter to you? Do you think it's important to have a core of academy players in the squad, or is it's kind of irrelevant?
Yeah, but like they have to be good.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like Ruben, I wouldn't mind keeping, and maybe Gallagher to an extent, because Ruben, my only issue is his wage, but he's a serviceable squad player. Doesn't make any issue about his position in the team. Just there whenever you need him, and usually does a decent job whenever you actually need him to fill a position. I don't mind Ruben staying. Gallagher, kind of the same energy. Plus, I want to see what he's like after a year or 2 of development. But in terms of if they were all to leave, I wouldn't really shed a tear. None of them are at that level that we need them to be at. They'd all just be good squad players. So if we lose them, oh well, we will be fine. We'll be fine. Just bring in another player and, I don't know, bring in Maatsen or something. Or there's always someone from Cobham. There's always somebody.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of decisions to make, because like you look at, I mean, even just Mount, Mount, Kovacic, Ruben, and Gallagher, all are going into the last year of their contracts next season. All 4 of them aren't getting new deals. I would say at least 2 of them are leaving. So there are big decisions to be made there. So obviously we'll have to wait and see what happens in the summer. That's a kind of a conversation for then, really. But mate, score prediction for Everton. As I touched on earlier, we scored 1 against Leeds, 2 against Dortmund, 3 against Leicester. We're going to put 4 past Everton?
Oh, good luck. I will take the 1-0 and I'll be happy with it, because I don't think we're going to get a chance to score much more.
Mate, I'll just be happy if you don't have any fucking goals ruled out by VAR.
You know what? That would be a first.
Mate, that'll be a first. But 5 goals on the weekend, and you know, we weren't sure how many of them are going to count. But you know, that's sort of the way.
5 was good enough.
Yeah, that was good. That was good enough. I'm going to go for. You know, this is the first game in a while I've actually felt confident that Chelsea are going to win. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to make it 4 wins on the spin and head into the international break on a bit of a winning run. But yeah, guys, seems like a good point to round out the episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, make sure you smash the likes on the video, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV, leave your thoughts in the comments, and we'll catch you in another episode soon.